Hi, welcome to the Gamesplainer. I'm Jeff the Gamesplainer and today I'm Gamesplaining Flamme Rouge. So it's been a year since I did my original videos of Flamme Rouge. What do I think of it? Do I still like it? Have I even played it? Well, on the upside, I have played this. I've played this 4 or 5 times since I did those original videos. I think this is a really wonderful game. I do like it. I do still like it. I keep enjoying it. There is a lot of nuance with this game to kind of understand when to do things. The whole idea of it is this is a bicycle racing game. You have 2 cyclists and you put a card down and that's going to say how far that cyclist can go. The card that you're choosing to put down, you have a choice out of, I think it's 4 from memory. They come into your hand, you choose one of them and say how far you're going to go. The person who's at the front of the pack will always move first and then everyone will move up to them. So if the spot is already taken, you're going to fall to the spot behind it. There's a really intriguing kind of push-pull on this game because there's areas of the game where you can play to a maximum number and there's areas where you can play any number up to, I think it's 5, and just it'll push you for 5. So you can play number 2 and it'll push you for 5. Of course, you're going down a hill. As you're going up the hill, if you play a 5 or higher, the maximum you can move is 5. And finding that balance of when to do stuff is really important because what ends up happening in pretty much every game is we hit a hill and everyone clumps, and then if you're at the front of that clump, you'll come out really easily. If you're in the middle of the clump, you'll probably come out into the downhill at the same time as those guys, but a little bit behind. If you're at the back of the clump, it's next to impossible to come out, and sometimes so it suddenly puts you a movement behind the first guys and suddenly gets really hard. So you want to make sure that at least one of your cyclists, if not both of them, are up in that front clump when you hit the hills. The other thing to bear in mind with this one is there's, for some reason, I think it's the cards that come out or the way the cards come through, there's a point in the game where someone's going to try to rush ahead. If they do that too early, everyone will catch up to them and cling back onto them, but they've used their really fast cards to get that push ahead. And so picking that point, that timing of when to go for the push is actually really important because you don't want the group to split, because especially if you're in the back half. If you're in the front half, yes, you want the group to split, but finding when to do that so that the split will do that rather than the back half will catch up is a really important thing to kind of get your head around, and it's never quite the same. Every game I've had, it's been a slightly different time. Some games I've had where someone's tried to rush right at the beginning because it's their first game, they think, oh, I'll get away from these guys and be done with it. They don't win. Other times someone's tried to do the push halfway through. Just finding that right time or the right split in where the crowd is really what it comes down to. The other thing I've noticed with this is that the 2 types of cyclists, one is a sprinter, one, I can't even remember what the name of the other one is because it's in French, but the sprinter has a couple of really long cards or high numbered cards, but then a gap and a whole bunch of the smaller ones. And so you kind of need to keep the sprinter back just playing those small ones until he gets to a point where he's able to sprint and hopefully get over the end. What I've noticed is the other cyclist, should I say, is usually the cyclist that gets across the line first. Probably because I've been too restrictive with that sprinter to kind of hold him back for a little bit too long or a little bit too much. And so he never quite gets the chance to do that sprint. And there's a balance, there's a real fine balance on that. I have the 2 expansions on this game. So the base game comes with one as a 1 to 4 player game. Expansions, one of them opens that up to a 6 player game, and it plays just as well as a 6 player as it does as a 4. There's a whole bunch of extra little bits in there that will speed up or slow down depending on what the thing is that the cyclists are traveling over. So it might be some cobblestones that slows them down, and some of them only have a track of 1, so there's only enough space for 1 cyclist to get through. Others have a larger track. There's a whole bunch of other stuff that goes on with those expansions, and it's kind of, I've just taken everything, put it into the box and gone, okay, this is what we're playing. And if it's an expansion one, we play with the expansion. If it's not, as long as the cyclists fit, it still works. Usually the 6 player, you need to play one of the expansion ones, but if you play with 4, you can play with either. And there's a real fine line on that. So finding the right spot and right starting elements is actually pretty important depending on the number of players you have. But other than that, just throwing them all down and and allows you to have a totally different game every single time you play it. I've really enjoyed this. I've found this as a good warm-up game, a good cool-down game, kind of on a game night time, last game or first game. If it's first game, quite often we've got to the end of it and someone said, hey, let's play that again. And that's fine. It moves through quick enough, but there's enough thinking about what to play to enable a really good thinky game. Look, I'll leave it there. Please go ahead and watch my Gamesplay and Gamesplanation from a year ago and see if you can get a feel for how the game actually plays. If you have any comments or suggestions, please write them below. If you have any games that you would like to be Gamesplained, please shoot me an email to thegamesplainer@gmail.com. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter @thegamesplainer to keep up to date with the games I'm playing. Subscribe to my videos to keep up to date with the games I'm gamesplaining. And until next time, enjoy gaming.